That'll happen when drunk Stephh shows up. Yeah, Stephh bailed on her own running live stream so that she could go over onto Swags and try and troll Rada. Stephh is a fucking train wreck these days. She really needs to figure out her priorities. I mean, she blew off court, got found guilty. I haven't checked the docket and the to see, what's going to be imposed on her as far as punishment. Yeah, well, I mean, it's Stephh. That's what she does. She tells fibs. Her justification for doxing Rada and putting his face up was, if he didn't want me to use his shit on YouTube, maybe he shouldn't have I've identified, which is required by his profession, when Wendy O stuck a camera in his face. So it's his fault that she's fucking doxing him all over YouTube, because he was dumb enough to follow what his work instructions are and identify himself to a random psychopath who's filming him. It's insane that she's got that kind of entitlement and is that comfortable, like, just blasting people all over YouTube. Stephh went up last night. This is hilarious. Another example of how fucked up Stephh is when she's drunk. And you can catch the end of it on Swag's panel. You can catch it on toward the end of Swag's panel from last night. Let me rephrase that. So she went up and she showed the creepy DMs that Rada sent her. And it was, I mean, Rada, he's bold and he says kind of weird, sexy stuff to people. But as he said, if people tell him to stop, he stops, right? So she's like, who says this creepy shit? And he made the comment, she showed it. I'm not going to try and quote it because I don't remember the actual quote. And she responds with ha 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 ha, and then repeats his comment with an exclamation point. And then I said, yeah, you could tell how upset and creep she was. She told him to stop by saying ha 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 with the comment. And she goes, I know, Corrosive gets it. He understands how creeped out I was. It's like, no, bitch, you laughed and encouraged him, and now you're saying it was super creepy and you wanted him to stop. Gen X says, do you think everything is going to settle down? Genuine question. My heart hurts for many these days. In this community, no, not unless we get a real outside. If we get a real outside enemy again, like when everyone was united against News New England, everybody came together and hating that fucker. But right now, no, you've got people in this community now, Stephh, who their whole thing is pitting people against each other. That's what that bitch does. That's her bread and butter, is running around behind the scenes, being in people's DMs, getting shit on them so she can fly up on panels, take a link. She gets her little fucking flying monkeys up there with her. She screams at people to take a link, calls them a coward, gets them on panel. And then whenever they try and talk, she and her flying monkeys just talk and scream over them the whole time. And then they go, we won. No, you didn't win. You just sounded like a bunch of cackling harpies. You called somebody up to confront them and then wouldn't let them get a word in edgewise. That's not winning. That's being background noise until people get fed up and walk away. But until she and the people like that stop doing that and people stop rewarding it by carrying water for them, no, it's just going to get more divisive. More and more people are going to fight. More and more ridiculous shit's going to come out. I mean, you've just got to accept it. That's the waters we're swimming in. Yep, that's what's Hurricane Stephh, man. She blows into a community, she trashes shit until everybody gets fed the fuck up with her, and then she blows out in the other direction, and she takes a couple of simps with her. That's why, she comes into this community, and whenever things get too deep for Stephh, suddenly you've got, hey, like, I'm just a dinosaur with short arms. You're fat, you're old, you're ugly, you're a bitch, blah, 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 blah. This is Rex. Stephh is amazing. I totally have a very real fiance, and I'm not really into Stephh, but that's just the way it is. She's got these couple of simps left over from the other communities who will come up, say all kinds of shit because they don't give a fuck about their reputation here, and will browbeat people off panels for her. And eventually people will get fed up with her and she'll drift into another community and she'll still have Rax and Cosmic and RDA following her. Rex will, and she'll probably drag Bird along with her. He'll still be her little pit bull, but she's still all up Bird's ass and he's all up hers. Don't pretend for a second her bullshit about he had me for 4 days. I was terrified for him and he was fucking. No, he wasn't. You're a lying bitch. You're a lying bitch. That's bullshit. That was 100% of fucking work. Her attempts at having emotion are kind of like watching a robot try and pretend it has human emotions. It's just sad and disturbing. Like, I don't know. I don't think she is capable of having actual human emotions. I don't know if it's psychological. I don't know if it's chemical. I don't know why. But once you realize that everything she says and does is bullshit, it's all just so she can get on panels and scream at people and think she's somehow better than everybody. Once you realize that, you can see through it, and it becomes blatantly obvious. She's up on one person's panel, ringing her pearls and screeching and hollering about that person used the F got word once. They did that once. How dare they? They're horrible people and should be canceled. And then The next day, she's on someone else's panel screeching it 29 times at somebody. And when you bring it up to her, she goes, yeah, I said that. So, I mean, she can't even keep her own outrage straight, let alone anyone else's. But for some reason, she's got people who simp for her. She's got people who, oh, well, poor Steph. Poor Steph's a victim. Oh, poor Steph's always a victim of everything, no matter what happens. It's always Steph. Steph always ends up being the hardest one hit by whatever it is.